You're listening to Dirty Feet, a podcast from No More Radio.
Vous écoutez le podcast Dirty Feet sur les ondes de No More Radio.
Hosted by,
animé par
Allison Burns,
JD Papillon
et Stéphanie Morin-Robert.
Stay tuned.
We're gonna move you.
Hello, Dirty Feet listeners, and welcome to the 98th episode of Dirty Feet. I am back here in Montreal, and you've been listening to my voice all summer, so you know that I've been around Western Canada doing a tour with Stephanie Morin-Robert, our other co-host, and our guest co-host while we were on the road, Linnea Giviazda, doing the show For Body and Light. So I am finally back in Montreal here, and you've also heard JD's voice all summer as he's been recording here with the help of our friends Tim Rodrigues, Pierre-Luc Brunet, and Jackie Lalonde, who've been very generous in filling in and spending some time helping out Dirty Feet while we were away. So you've listened to us both this summer, but this is the first time we're back together. So hi, JD.
Hi. How are you?
I'm great. And if you're curious about how the tour went this summer, you're more than welcome to take a look at those past podcasts. We were recording episodes in Toronto, Saskatoon, Edmonton, Victoria, and Vancouver, where we covered the Fringe festivals, and we had a few other interviews booked as well, and we recorded some really interesting podcasts with some awesome people. And those episodes will be released at a later date, so you can get all the juicy details about what's happening in the dance scenes in places like Saskatoon and Victoria, and even over in Toronto. So some good stuff on its way. Let's get on to our subject at hand today. We're going to be speaking with Amy Blackmore, who's been a guest on the show before. Amy, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. And Amy is, of course, the artistic and executive director of MainLine Theatre, a theatre here in Montreal on Saint Laurent, on the Main, as they say. And Amy has an extensive background, not only in theatre, but also in dance, and is a jack of many trades and has so much going on. Amy,
master of none.
I think somebody would argue with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But let's have a quick breakdown. I mean, like I said, you have been on the show before, so people may or may not have known a little bit more about you coming into this episode, but you want to give us a rundown of who you are?
Sure, yeah. Well, hi. I mean, I'm my main sort of gig these days is I'm the executive and artistic director of MainLine Theatre, which means I get to run this amazing indie theatre space on Saint Laurent. I'm also MainLine produces the Montreal Fringe Festival, so I'm also the producer of that, and I'm one of the founders and producers and artistic directors of the Bouge Sea Dance Festival. I kind of like to get my hands into everything, kind of busy these days. And I also do a lot of choreography, little projects here and there, either on the competitive dance circuit or recreational dance scene or for film or for theater. And I went to Concordia. I love Concordia dance. They're the best. I always like to just mention it because, I don't know, it was a good time.
Not enough people do?
I feel like not enough people do.
Yeah.
I think it's important to, give respect, give props to the people who made you who you are in dance. But I'm so excited about this year in dance in Montreal. I feel like it's going to be pretty hot.
And that's exactly what we're going to be speaking about today, and more specifically about the programming, the dance programming at MainLine Theatre. Because even though you are a theatre, there is a surprising amount of dance happening this year at your space.
Totally. And it's, I think, something that's definitely evolved over time. We used to be a theatre that served predominantly the English indie theater scene, and over the years we've had more French come in, but also more dance, and I think it's just a reflection of who's been hanging out at the space, really. With having Bouge, I think Bouge has been at the theater for 5 years now, which is kind of crazy, and just over time more and more dancers have shown up and wanted to be a part of it, and that's why this year more than ever, we just have so much dance, it's unreal.
Yeah, and you were talking before earlier about how things are repeating themselves, like the Rocky Horror Show, which is coming back for the third year now in October.
It's sort of becoming a bit of a tradition, at MainLine now. And the fun thing with Rocky Horror is it used to actually be at a different venue in town, and the whole idea behind putting on the musical, and that's what we're talking about, by the way. It's the musical. It's not the film. You go and there's a live band. There's huge musical theater numbers. All the actors are performing and singing and dancing. It's crazy. But we sort of took the show on ourselves, and this will be the third year that we're putting it on, and MainLine's actually producing it for the first time, which will be really exciting. I'm sadly not choreographing as many numbers as I used to, but I still get to do time warp. Bit of a tradition for me. But this year we also have Holly Greco choreographing for that show, as well as El Diablo, who's a burlesque performer in town. So I think it'll be a nice little spicy, fun dance experience.
That's one of the interesting things about your version of Rocky is that, I mean, for people who know the musical or the movie already, a lot of the songs and a lot of the dance numbers have very different vibes to them. And one of the things that's really interesting with your approach is that you've decided to use a plethora of choreographers each year, and they've been interchanging or, changing every year, which sort of goes along with that vibe of the original musical.
Yeah, well, we like to keep it fresh, and like to switch it up, and especially, this is a production that we want to do every year, so it's important to bring something new to the table each time, but also just for our performers, it's, a really interesting experience for them to get to work with so many different choreographers. And I mean, Rocky, Sweet Transvestite, it needs to be a very different number, right, than Time Warp. So it's fun, like Holly's doing Sweet Transvestite, I'm doing Time Warp, and already we're seeing these two contrasting styles side by side, one after another in the piece, and I think it's going to be kind of interesting and campy and fun, and the way Rocky's supposed to be, right?
Do we know who's going to be playing Rocky already? Not Rocky, but Dr. Frankfurter?
Yes, Antonio Bavero is coming back for a third year in a row now, yeah. So classic. He is so great.
Something a little closer to the kind of dance that we tend to talk about here on Dirty Feet is the Squat show that's coming up, which is actually a co-presentation with the Phenomena Festival.
Yes, I've always admired the Phenomena Festival and always wanted it to take place at MainLine. I adore Dee Kim. I think that she is such a passionate woman and deserves so much respect, such a great culture maker in this city. So I was so excited when Vanessa Bousquet from Squat, the company is called actually Atypique Collectif, she approached me in the springtime with the idea of doing her site-specific dance piece with her company at MainLine. And immediately, we jumped on board and we went through this sort of big process of, trying to secure money from different places. Not everything always works out. It's sort of how it is. So MainLine decided in the end to have the show at MainLine, but also to support the company by offering them a small residency. So they've been coming in once every 2 weeks to do a big rehearsal in the space because, like I mentioned, the work is site-specific, so it sort of needs a bit of that. We sort of just offered them the space. They come in, they do their thing, and that's going to take place October 17th to 19th in the main space, but also in the lobby. I have a feeling they're going to use some of the smaller rooms at MainLine too. Someone asked me if they could use my office, and I told them maybe I'd think about it.
One thing that's important to mention also is that it's a Atypique Collectif in collaboration with Dans Son Salon.
Exactly.
For people who might know both companies individually, they've been working together. They first did a version of Squat as part of the Zonoma Festival last year. And now they're bringing this back with a more developed version. Did they talk to you about how they wanted to bring it somewhere from what they've done already in the past with Squat?
I think the interesting thing for them is how, when you're doing a site-specific piece and you're remounting it or doing it again, what do you leave behind and what do you take with you? So what do you leave in that original space? What movement comes from that space and is inspired by that architecture? And what movement really belongs in the work? And that's sort of what they're trying to figure out right now as they're rehearsing at MainLine. It's like, where do we do this? Where do we do that? Or, should we even bother? And that it's been sort of interesting. watching them sort of do that in rehearsal, sometimes I poke my head in, but that seems to be the real thing. And, it's kind of fun. There's so many more opportunities now than I think there were, like, let's say 5 years ago for young choreographers or companies to do their work over and over again. So it's kind of fun to get to see a group like Atypique Collectif do something like this, go from Zone Homa to MainLine, like, what's next?
On the note of having artists in using the space on residency, Stephanie Morin-Robert, our co-host, was actually your artist in residence last year, and also incorporated a lot of dance in the show that she ended up producing, Me, Myself, and I for MainLine Theatre. Is this a direction that you're interested in going in, more having dance artists in residence?
Definitely. I think that we're a theater that is able to support many different kinds of disciplines, and my sort of goal is to have at least 2 companies come in for residencies a year, but it's starting to already look like we might have 5 this year, just because I've gotten so excited about everything. So we have Atypique Collectif in right now. I can't really kind of get into the details of the other ones, but I think that you'll see another dance company in the spring.
Can you name names?
No, not yet. Not yet. Oh, it's all secret.
We'll be waiting for the scoop.
Perhaps we can talk a bit about the space that is available and that people are using for these residencies.
Yeah, well, we have 2 spaces at MainLine. We have our main space, which is a big theater. I say big theater, but it's bigger than the other one. It's a 102-seater theater that's in the round with audience on all 3 sizes. It's available for shows. It's not great for rehearsals, but it's definitely an interesting room to put on a dance show in because it's in the round. But the space that's really in demand right now, more and more I'm finding within the dance community, is our mini main studio, which is a black box studio that has a decent sized stage, 18 by 24, and it's available for $10 an hour, and it's a very basic room. We have, like a concrete floor that's covered in masonite, which makes it acceptable for dance. I think that the dream that I have and that we want to do, which I don't know, let's all cross our fingers, maybe within a year, I'd love to have a dance floor in that room. But, if you're looking for a space for some last minute rehearsals or just to kind of walk through some work, it's definitely ideal for that kind of thing.
And there is a lot of more details on the website, mainlinetheatre.ca. Got like your technical specs and all the rest if somebody's thinking of hosting a show there.
And, we also, this season at MainLine, we're pretty much booked up for most of it. But, I'll be booking next season pretty quickly. I think starting in February, I'll be looking at what we want to do. And the way that we work is that, we're sort of a curated art house. So if anybody's interested in presenting work, they just need to get in touch with me at info@mainlinetheatre.ca. And sometimes we do presentations where we produce work or we co-present or we support through residencies. But, mainly we're a charity, and on paper we're a charity too. So if ever you want to donate, you can, and I'll give you a tax receipt. I always like to put that in. But we are a charity, and our mandate, part of our mandate is to have affordable rehearsal space and affordable rates to rent to put on a show. So, you'll find we're one of the cheapest places in the city.
Great. Another set of events that I would love to discuss, of course, I would love this, is Bouge DC. And perhaps we can just start with the first upcoming Bouge DC event, which is just a 5 à 7 this Friday to kind of say, hey, remember us? We're coming back.
Oh, I'm so excited. And this is sort of the news of the year for me, is that Bouge DC is now going to be produced by MainLine Theatre. We decided to get together to collaborate more, share resources, to sort of, streamline what we do and try to get better at it. So this Friday at MainLine, we're hosting a 5 à 7 for dancers, choreographers, collaborators, anybody who wants to come, you're welcome to come hang out with us, meet the people who do Bouge DC, who work at MainLine, and to sort of meet your fellow community, and we're going to hang out. I'm really looking forward to see sort of who comes out and how that's going to shape up.
And are you going to have any type of countdown events, stuff that's going to be happening surrounding Bouge DC before the festival takes place?
Yeah, well, we'll definitely be doing program launch for Bouge DC later in the season. At the moment, we're focused more on our applications. Applications are already available on our website. So this is applications, of course, for our main show, our kind of flagship show, L'Espace comme un Common Space. And so they're actually due quite quickly, too. They're due on October 10th before 6 p.m. And we're kind of really excited to see who applies. And, I think once we take care of that, we'll plan the rest.
I think it would be important to talk about who could or should apply for Bouge DC. For people who might not know, who might be hearing about Bouge DC for the first time, there is one aspect of Bouge which is particularly interesting, I find, for choreographers, and which, should actually get people more interested if they don't want to create anything new before Bouge DC. The point of the festival is to remount a work and rework it. And could you tell us a bit more about that?
Sure. Well, work is never finished, right? Doesn't matter how many times you show a piece, there's always more you want to dig into. And so the way that L'Espace comme un Common Space works is that choreographers, dance makers, or even people just transitioning into dance from other art forms are encouraged to apply with a work that has a history of presentation. It should be roughly around 10 minutes long. And the idea is that they want to either dig further, develop something new, take it in a different direction. The idea is really we're looking for people who want to evolve their work. And then what we do is we select around 8 to 10 choreographers or dance makers, depending on the year, and we partner them with mentors who are professional artists from the community, and they commit, a minimum of 6 to 8 hours with the choreographers and dancers to try and help them reach those goals, and to try to sort of give them the right tips and the right advice. And we're so lucky. We've had amazing mentors over the years. We've had Kelly Keenan, Jacques Brochu, the late Ken Roy has been in. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Tim Rodriguez, Laura Kramer, and it's been kind of really nice. And then what ends up happening in the end is we've had all these great people get to meet each other for the first time, get to work together, and then the show takes place as part of the festival compilation performance. And it's, even if you're not really interested in knowing about process and dance and all those amazing things that, some of us really geek out on sometimes, what I really like about the show is I find that it generally is a show that can appeal to all kind of audiences. There's something in there for everyone. We try to really have a variety of styles of contemporary dance in there. So it ends up being kind of fun.
And one other thing to mention about Bouge DC, which also will be taking place at MainLine, I would guess, is that there's a lot of satellite events going with the festival. So it's not just a common space show. There's free classes that are being offered, free workshops. There's the cabaret at the end of the festival.
Cabaret Bouge DC is the best.
There's a lot of things. So if you could tell us a bit more about everything, because the Bouge DC is really a festival. It's not just one event or one show.
Totally. Well, programming for this year's festival isn't totally complete, but we're definitely going to have a couple kickoff events earlier in the festival. We will definitely be closing with the famous Cabaret Bouge DC and closing night dance party. That's definitely become a tradition. And man, I remember last year Helen Simard having like 21 dancers on stage for 21 Angus Young. It totally blew my mind, and I like to think that cabaret is a place where we get work that just has like this amazing high energy and different kind of people out. I'm curious to see what we do this year. For many years now, all of our performances have taken place at MainLine Theatre, and I'd be curious to see us challenge ourselves to start doing some things outside of that space. Where else in Montreal can dance take place in perhaps a unconventional context or space? I'm kind of curious to see what we come up with for that.
Will there be opportunities for people who are interested in presenting works as part of the festival in different contexts to apply as such?
Yes. And, the thing to do would be definitely to find us on Facebook, Bouge d'ici, either as a fan page or a person. And then you can also go to our website, bouged'ici.com. We're going to be putting updates. One thing just off the top of my head I can mention is that we're doing Ciné Danse again this year. So anyone who has a short dance film who wants to apply is welcome to. And it doesn't need to be a film that's just like a dance piece on film. It can be film that touches dance, even as a subject matter or content. Everyone's sort of welcome to apply for that. And then, the other opportunities will be on the website.
So once everybody's finished scrambling and putting together their applications for Bouge DC event.
It's a time of year for that, eh?
There's also another call for applications that you have put out for the next edition of the Fringe Festival, which is crazy because we just wrapped up this Fringe, but there you go.
I know, and it's going to be the 25th anniversary of the Fringe. It's so funny. I always say I'm so excited, but I really am. I'm the most excited for this Fringe Festival. Fringe is sort of my reason to live, and it's sort of. Last year we had a bee on the poster, or a wasp bee, depends on your interpretation of animals. But that kind of came from this idea of the fringe buzz and la piqûre fringe that you get. But yes, sorry, my rambles about the fringe will stop. But the call for our submissions is open. The way it works at the Fringe is we have quite a strict mandate with programming. There's sort of 4 main points to it. And every Fringe in Canada, in order to be called a Fringe, you have to follow these 4 points. So the first one is that the festival is programmed by lottery or first come, first accepted. Ours is mainly lottery. We do have some different things that we do by first come, first accepted. The second point of the mandate is that as a festival, we're not allowed to put any censorship or any guidelines on any of the work. So artists are completely free to do whatever they want, within the law, of course. Point number 3 is that artists must be able to keep 100% of their ticketed box office price, so they get all the money that you spend on their show, and it's affordable for them to be in the festival. So if you want to be in the festival, you apply. Let's say you get in the lottery, you'll probably pay, if it's for an hour-long show, a little over $600 to put on your show in a venue that we build or that we've rented. We supply you with a technician, give you 6 performances, and the structure of the festival behind you to support you. So that's sort of that idea. And then the final point is that ticket prices have to remain affordable for audiences and accessible for them to come out. So at our festival, tickets are $10 or less, and with service charges, it's like $12 or less. So we do accept all kinds of artists. It can be dance, theater, music, puppetry. A guy read a phone book one year on stage. You kind of get a bit of everything. The deadline to apply for that is going to be on November 14th at 6 p.m. And all the information is on our website, montrealfringe.ca.
And having gone across the country and seen a couple different Fringe festivals, it is evident that there is not a ton of dance in other cities, but there is here, and that's cool.
There really is. Montreal is such a happening dance city, and I think that's why we end up, because it happens by accident every year that there's so much dance, right? Because it's programmed by lottery. We don't seek out dancers. It just kind of happens. Again, I think it's just a nice reflection of the kind of city we live in.
Well, also for the community, the dance community in Montreal has become aware of the possible success that can come from presenting at a Fringe. Mm-hmm. Like Sarah Bronsard, who was with us a few months ago, who was presenting as part of the Montreal tour, I don't remember the name, Bande International, if I remember correctly, actually presented that piece at the Fringe, and then she was asked by Tangent to present it as part of Bande Essai, so she got to travel the world with that piece. So there's a lot of other examples like that. I'm sure you could name a few of people who first presented their works at the Fringe and got to present it again in other venues, in other cities, all of that.
Sure, certainly. And just about Sarah, she actually won the Cirque du Soleil Award that year at the Fringe. and which gave her, I think, $1,000 towards her work, which is pretty incredible as a prize. Yeah, there's lots of choreographers who either got their start at the Fringe or just sort of use it as a stepping stone. You know, Lara Kramer, a couple years ago, I remember her participating with one of her first works by herself that she did. But even looking at people like Fred Gravel has done the Fringe, or Dave St. Pierre, you know, I remember him doing the Fringe, like, I think 10 years ago, and performing at our Fringe for All event and having, like, you know, 12 guys storm the stage and just kind of stand there naked for 2 minutes. And this was sort of the beginning of his statement. And everybody's like, who is this guy? Like, who is this guy? And then, you know, even it's sort of a nice story that I like to tell. I went to go see a show at Place des Arts, I believe last year. It was Azure Barton. She was in town and showing her work as part of Danse Danse. And, you know, I really admire her as a choreographer and respect her work. And I opened up the program, and there's this little paragraph in the program that says, thank you to the Saint-Ambroise Montreal Fringe for allowing me to show my work. Because in 2001, she did her first piece at the May as a part of the festival, and it really was her tremplin into starting her company. It was the first Azure and Artists show, and every now and then I see some old school fringers walking around with their Azure and Artists t-shirts that they bought that year, and it just kind of warms my heart, you know, to think that that the Fringe can be a part of that. And it's, you know, across Canada, the Fringe is definitely the first place that theater practitioners will put on their work at or participate at or in. And I think that we're starting to see that in Montreal now for dance. And it's kind of nice.
Also, another event that that is very much dance, even though the name would indicate otherwise, is Karen Fennell's pretty new event. It's been going on for what, 6 months now? It started about 6 months ago.
She launched it at the Bouge DC Dance Festival last year, actually.
So almost a year now already.
Yeah.
But for people who might not know about it, it's called So You Think That Was Dance, and it's well, why don't you tell us about it? I'm sure you could do it more justice than I could.
Well, you're eloquent. I think you could too. So You Think That Was Dance comes from the awesome brain of Karen Fennell. What she does is she does a call for submissions to choreographers and dance makers to submit their work, and she usually picks around 6 to 8 to participate in the event. And the idea is to show works in progress, works that challenge what you might think dance is or isn't, and to sort of, again, come up with another, you know, I hate to say, but, and I love it at the same time, but for another excuse for us to get together to talk about dance, to talk about what our limits are, what the boundaries are. You know, I mean, the title kind of says it all. And she hosts the event. It's very casual and relaxed. It usually takes place in our mini main venue, which is, you know, small 45-seater. And it's going to be bi-monthly, actually, which is kind of cool. The next one's going to take place in November. And then, you know, we'll probably see back at Bouge and that kind of thing.
Is there anything you want to talk about that is not mainline related, but is dance related that's coming up in the next year for you?
For me? Pour moi?
Who are you excited to see perform?
Oh.
Dirty Feet wants to know.
Oh, what am I excited about? It's so hard to, I don't know.
Are you going to Subpoena?
No.
What?
Aww.
I know. And, you know, I actually remember a year ago, it was probably about a year ago, sitting with, you know, Miss Allison Burns, who's sitting across from me right now. And I can't remember what we were doing. Maybe we were at a party or something, or just talking. Likely. And she whips out her phone, and, like, we're in the middle of having a conversation, and she's like, you know, and she's like, oh, wait, no. Wait, just guys, wait, give me a couple minutes. And then she kind of just disappeared and came back and was like, I have PETA tickets. Like, she just bought them all of a sudden on her phone. And then all of a sudden, all my friends are doing this. My friend, I think Heather did it, and other people. And, you know, I, yet again, have been left without tickets because I don't have a credit card, guys. Like, I can't buy anything in advance. It's not accessible to me. That's my complaint of the year.
I'm sure they'll come back.
I'm sure they'll come back. No, I'm excited for that. You know, I think I'm making it a mission of mine to watch more dance on film this year. I'm really excited about that. You know, I'm going to finally order One Flat Thing. You can do that online. I did loan somebody. I have like a Body Remix on DVD, but I loaned it to someone. Whoever you are out there, I can't remember who you are. Please
bring it back.
Back, yeah.
She needs her dancers on crutches and.
Yeah.
Is it
I
you?
have that DVD.
You have it. Can I have it back?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That was not planned.
No, it wasn't. You know, and I mean, I want to see the Pina film again, and you know, it's fall, right? So I know that I should be encouraging everybody to go outside and go see some shows, but I'm feeling like I might spend a couple weeks indoors with some popcorn.
Fall's also a time for nesting.
That's true. That's true.
While we're on the subject, I've recently watched Dancing Dreams, which is a documentary about Pina Bausch. It's when she brought one of her works to the students and basically taught them how to perform it along with two of the original performers of the work. And it was an incredible documentary.
Was it Contact Off or?
Yes, it was.
But yeah, I'm wondering, you know, about all the work coming up this fall. Fall is such a busy time for arts and culture in this city. It's like, you know, everybody's just come down from festival season and we're about to all sort of get up again and go crazy. I'd love to know, anybody out there who I know, come tell me what I need to go see this year.
You just need to stay tuned to Dirty Feet, and then you're going to find out.
You are right. Are you guys going to be celebrating your 100th episode coming up in 2 weeks?
Oh, we gotta figure that out.
Gotta get you a birthday.
That's coming in
cake.
2 weeks, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe vachon cakes. You know, those tiny little vachon cakes with the candle in it.
I love vachon.
If you're from Quebec, you probably love vachon.
Yeah.
There's a big cultural identity there.
This is kind of falling apart. I think it's probably ready to wrap up this episode. Amy Blackmore from MainLine Theatre, thank you so much for joining us and telling us all about what to expect this year in dance at MainLine.
Thank you
and
for
again,
having me. Always excited.
Our pleasure. Again, everyone can check out mainlinetheatre.ca for further details on the upcoming shows, on the different things you can be applying to, and all the rest, and renting some space maybe. So there we go. Thanks very much.
Dirty Feet is recorded every week at the Montreal Improv Theatre. Check them out at montrealimprov.com.
Dirty Feet est produit et animé par
Produced and hosted by Allison Burns,
JD Papillon,
et Stéphanie Morin-Robert.
You can find out more about our show at nomoreradio.com, follow us on Twitter at Dirty Feet, and find us on Facebook at Dirty Feet Podcast.
Vous pouvez écouter tous nos épisodes sur notre site web ou vous pouvez vous abonner également sur iTunes à notre podcast.
Listen to past episodes on the website or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes.
While you're there, be sure to give us a rating and or leave a comment to help us spread the word.
Tune in next week for a whole new show.